All right, I am back with Project Piece of Stang, my son's 1982 Ford Mustang GT project car that we're trying to get together. I thought after the last video it was ready for daily street driving and that I would be done with it for a while. I was very wrong. We tried to drive it yesterday. I gave my daughter her first test drive. I picked up my son from school in it. Yeah, things did not go that well. So we got stranded and we kept losing fuel pressure repeatedly. I've checked the fuel pump, the fuel regulator, the carburetor. We are not getting pressure from the tank. I believe that the gas tank may have an obstruction in it. I'm going to have to drop the entire tank and see what I can figure out, because our Holly fuel pump seems to be getting plenty of pressure. Filter seems unobstructed. The lines seem unobstructed. I'm not sure what's going on exactly. Also, this brake over here, or this wheel and this brake have gotten way out of hand. It's grinding an insane amount. I'm not sure what's wrong with it, but I'm going to take the brakes apart. I have new pads, and if I need to, I'm going to order new hubs and rotors and calipers and just replace the entire system when I replace the master cylinder. Chris Jr. is not with me today. He is in school. This is something I need to get done so that I can take him somewhere this weekend for his birthday. I had kind of a surprise planned. I'm hoping we still get to do that, but I'm not so sure. I got to make sure this thing is safe before we go on any type of cruise, like a long distance cruise or anything. So join me as I try to figure out what's wrong with this thing. I have found the problem with this side of the brakes. I have never seen this in my entire life. The brake pad came out. The brake pad is completely gone. This rotor was completely smooth the last time I had this apart, and the brake pad is now gone. No idea where it went or how it got there, but that's the problem. This caliper has been eating this rotor the entire time. I've never seen this in my entire life. I have no idea how that could physically happen. How did the brake pad escape and why? I am blown away. I know for a fact there was a brake pad there. I don't know, 2 weeks ago? It is confirmed. I thought maybe I was seeing things or hallucinating, but there was no outer brake pad in this caliper. Now, while this caliper is old, it does seem to be structurally sound. I am not sure what happened here. I am going to order new calipers, and yes, I know I probably need, yes, I definitely need a new rotor. But these are special order right now. I could not get them locally, or I was going to do a full brake replacement. What I am going to do is I am going to go ahead and order these, and new calipers, and new lines. Putting new pads in for the day is kind of a stopgap, kind of a band-aid to see how it handles. It has to stop better than it was, because I just had straight caliper eating into this brake rotor. So it's definitely got to be better than it was. Here are the new pads going back on. And I'll go ahead and put on new pads on the other side just to make sure we're matching. And then we'll go see how it stops. We can definitely hear that rotor needing replaced. You can hear it already chewing into the new brake pad. It's definitely warped and uneven. We'll have to get to that soon. But at least for now, we have brand new pads on this side. Mystery solved. The brake on this side tells me everything I need to know. The brake pad is on this side. It is still here. However, you'll notice that the clip that attaches the brake here and here, the pressure clip that keeps this pad in place, is gone. And the pad has slid an inch and a half out of its place. It slid all the way over here. It's supposed to be here and here. And the back of the brake pad is up here. So this brake pad was about to remove itself. And the wheel, it moved. Ooh, look at that. Wow. I've never seen this. I'm guessing the clips on those brake pads are just that old that the clips snapped off. You can see they were rusty. I take full responsibility for this. That is all my fault. I did not inspect these well enough. I knew they were old. I knew they were rusty, but I didn't even look at the clips. They were holding the brakes on at the time, and everything seemed to function fine. So I put it back together when we did the suspension. This could have been deadly. Wow. Lesson learned. I should have just thrown some $22 brake pads in it that day. A little bit of justification is that they simply did not have any in stock the day we had this apart. It would have taken a couple of days to get them, like everything else for this car. But that is my fault. Wow. I will never make that mistake again. It's a first and a last. Good news is the rotor over here feels amazing. Of course, you know, the surface on the top is rusty, but the actual material feels great. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this back together and hopefully it works out. All right, here you see our new brake pads and our caliper all assembled. You can see that this brand new retention spring or clip, whatever you want to call it, is in here, and it's pretty tight. That's where the brake is supposed to sit, like that. And you can see that just this small pin holds this in, and the ones on the old pads were completely rusted out. The clips are gone, and one of the pads was gone, and the other pad was trying to leave. So that's a near fatal lesson learned. That could have gotten us killed. Wow. That will never happen again. I'm not new to this. I should have known better. This is not my first brake job by far. I've done more than I can count. This was definitely not my first on a Mustang. I just dropped the ball on this one. I didn't pay close enough attention. I was in too big a hurry trying to get the car back together after this nightmare of having to fix the suspension bushings. That's all my fault. All right, now I get to pull the gas tank and check on all this stuff by myself. But I had this coming. This will be a slice of hell, but after the brake screw up, I kind of deserve this. So let's get started and see how this goes. My jack wouldn't reach the gas tank, so I'm using one of my daughter's old brake rotors to fill the gap and kind of spread things out. I got the straps off. God, I hate these things. I wish they would have used some kind of regular strap or made them face the other way or something. I've always thought this was a terrible design. I'm having all the fun today in this 100% humidity, 100-degree day. Well, it's out. It's on the ground, and I only spilled a few gallons. Good times. I just got it out, and I'm already impressed with the ghetto engineering involved. I'm really impressed. We here at the Green Hill Institute of Ghettonomics Engineering at the Canyon Lake Institute of Technology are always impressed by ghetto things. But this is a fuel-injected fuel pickup in a carbureted vehicle with some bent, crimped ass trash lines. So this is probably our big problem with the car. There's our sending unit, which I do not have a new one, and it needs. Sure wish I could replace that today, but I'm not going to get to. I guess I'll go ahead and take a peek inside and see what's going on with our fuel flow, other than our massively crimped line here, which I'm going to fix. So this is the inside of the fuel tank. This is the fuel injected fuel pump assembly, and what they've done is they have simply run a piece of hose in place of the fuel pump in the sock. I'm guessing that part of the problem is that there's nothing to keep this from sucking up debris from the gas tank. And here in a moment I'll get a flashlight and check the inside of the gas tank for debris. Judging by all the corrosion and rust and everything everywhere, it's probably quite a bit of debris inside it. Oh yeah, there's going to be debris inside it. Look at that. That's gross. I've got some cleaning up to do. I was vacuuming up all the loose debris all around the fuel tank openings, and I noticed something. Some inbred hillbilly closed off the vacuum on our tank. The vent. It's very possible this tank is building up pressure and is not able to properly vent. I believe I have a new vent and a new gasket around here somewhere. I'm going to get this open and see how much debris is in the gas tank. This could be a big reason why the fuel pump is intermittently losing pressure. That's even too hillbilly, even for me. That's insane. Well, I'm absolutely amazed. I've seen a lot worse. I've seen better, obviously. I've seen brand new tanks. But the inside of this gas tank is not horrible. I'm impressed. There's not a lot of debris floating around. Those are gouges and rust in the bottom of the tank, I believe. I'm going to check that here in just a second. But I don't see a lot of stuff floating around when I move the tank around. Oh, wait. There we go. Nope, that's debris. That's not good. All right, I guess I got to drain the tank. Good times. I just noticed that all these fuel lines back here are really small. I would consider this 3/8 to be the smallest line I would use on this carbureted application. And this is even smaller than that. I'm guessing, see, 3/8, this must be 5/16. This is very, very small fuel line. I'm sure that's not helping. I don't think that was the cause of the problem, unless this little bitty fuel line was getting clogged easily. But it definitely isn't helping fuel flow. So I'm going to replace all this with 3/8. I'm attempting to pump out the tank using the Holly pump. Put it in this fuel container. Got an extra fuel container also. Try to drain this as much as possible to save as much fuel and make it as light as possible. The fuel pump seems to be flowing really, really well. So it's definitely not the problem. But sure wish Junior was here. It would be easier with him here than by myself, but just not in the cards today. After splashing gasoline all in my face and almost blinding myself, I am now back to work. I've evacuated most of the gas tank. I got about 5 gallons out. I estimated there's 6 in it, so that's pretty good. Along the way, I discovered that I'm an idiot and my ground is horribly loose for my fuel pump. I think that's why we may be losing fuel all the time. However, when it's losing pressure, it is still running. We can hear it audibly running, so I'm not sure that's the only problem, but that is definitely a problem I'll fix. And I can't blame anyone for this but me, again, because I'm the one who wired this particular fuel pump. Man, I'm just striking out left and right today. Alright, so I've reattached and retightened all of the wires for the fuel pump that are all the grounds and everything. This is the inside. And what I've done is tightened them down on both sides, secured them, and I put ultra gray all over the threads. And some ultra gray underneath the nuts. And if you're not aware, ultra gray is a great vibration dampener. I like it more than thread lock because it's pretty easy to overcome if you want to take it off, but it'll survive a lot of vibration. These should not ever back out again. They should hold indefinitely. Not that you should listen to me after all the other things you've seen in this video, but I do promise that ultra gray will hold all this stuff securely in place as far as the grounds and everything, and the fuel pump bolts, which were also loose. Again, all my fault. So the the ghetto rigged fuel injection fuel tank that I just pulled out of here. I'm not sure what's going on with it, but it's got some kind of large metal thing inside it, floating around, shifting around. That's got to be hitting the fuel sending unit and the fuel tank and everything. I can't remember, but I think there's some kind of baffle in there, and it's clearly come loose, and it is just shifting around. Every time you move the tank, it moves around, and I just can't deal with it right now. So I forgot I had this carbureted gas tank sitting around, and this carbureted gas tank comes with a proper fuel pickup unit and hopefully a fuel sending unit that works. So this thing appears to be all ready to rock and roll. I'm going to go ahead and install this and hope it works better. All right, I am replacing all of this. There are just way too many splices in this fuel system. I'm going to run one hose from the fuel filter on the Holly to the fuel pickup. I'm going to run one hose all the way from the fuel regulator to the fuel pump. Sadly, the fuel line that's in the car is only 5/16. I don't know if I've said that already, but everything here was 5/16. The fuel pump and everything is set up for 3/8. But I don't have any 3/8 braided fuel line. So I'm going to wait until I set up the fuel return system, get a fuel return regulator, and tap a fuel return into the tank. And when I do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'll buy some braided line, and I'll replace braided line all the way front to back to try to fix this. But I can't remember if I said that already or not. I'm getting tired. Anyway, moving on. I'm not sure what's going on, but I installed this fuel tank, this carbureted fuel tank with this carbureted fuel pickup, and I'm getting no fuel pickup through it. There's nothing coming up to the tank. The pump's not getting any pressure, so I have to assume that it's this pickup. I'm going to swap it out for that ghetto fuel injected pickup. All right, I'm not sure what's up. I can't get the fuel pump to pick up anything. I can't get it to make any fuel pressure or pick up any gasoline on either tank. So I'm going to go ahead and put the carbureted tank in. The carbureted fuel sending unit does work. That was nice. I went ahead and put a new one-way check valve in that I had sitting around, new vent. I'm going to run a vent tube out the front. This is drawing gas. I thought it was a problem with the pickup, but it is flowing just fine. It's the pump's not making any pressure, and I don't know why. So I'm just going to go ahead and install this, and then I'll have to tend to the pump at some point and figure it out. God, I hate this. I can never get these things in. When I put these up in place, they're about 2 inches short using these little bolts. I've always struggled with these. I don't know why. I don't remember what you're supposed to do. I think the fuel tank is seated up here as high as it'll go. I can't get it to shift or move or change positions or anything, but these straps are still way short of me being able to get the bolts in. All right, I finally had enough. I went to the hardware store, matched the thread pattern, found some 10 metric by 1.5 thread pattern, all thread, and a couple of nuts. I'm going to drive them up in there, and I'm going to get this stupid fuel tank installed. You can see how much more space I have to work with now. There is the all thread driven up into place, and I'm about to go and put the gas tank strap on it. Oh yeah, now we're in business. This didn't take 5 seconds to get on here. I just put it on there, started tightening it down. This makes it a lot easier. There's the finished product. I went ahead and double nutted it, put a washer in there, put some ultra gray gasket seal in the threads to hold it in place, to keep it from vibrating out, vibrating loose. It's as good as new. Now on to the other side. Well, the good news is my fuel level gauge is working with this new carbureted sending unit. It was reading below empty before. That's about right. It's probably got 4 gallons in it. Unfortunately, I'm still not getting any fuel to my carburetor, and I don't know why. I am really confused about this. All right, time to pull the pump and see what's up. This is really bizarre. When I disconnect the fuel line, I have great fuel pressure. I don't understand. All right, I definitely have fuel pressure back here. So much it just blew the line out. So the pump is working great. That means the blockage is between the pump and the engine somewhere. Great. I suddenly have fuel pressure again. I blew pressurized air from the back of the fuel line to the front and the front to the back. And while I wasn't able to see what came out the opposite end from the other end of the car, something clearly did, because that's all I did, and now I have fuel pressure again. I'm guessing there was some kind of congealed blob somewhere in between. The previous owner didn't have a fuel pump on it, so a fuel filter. So God only knows what's in these fuel lines. Hopefully I can replace them soon. Hopefully this thing's going to run now. While the car was still up in the air, I only had 2 pounds of fuel pressure. Now that it's flat on the ground, I'm up to 4. I'm going to see how much I can get through the regulator. That's good. I was worried about those 2 pounds, but things seem to be flowing really well now. Next step is to test drive it again. Test drive, volume 25. I'm so tired of test driving this car. I wish it would just run right for a week. Just give me 1 week. Oh, who am I kidding? I love this thing. Let's go for a ride and see what happens. It's a good start. All right. All right, well, the first test of the brakes here in the neighborhood went really well. They're stopping nice and smooth and straight and evenly. They actually feel like normal brakes. That's a plus. Next is the big hill. Let's see how it handles going downhill. All right, we are on the big hill, and we are, forgot we don't have anti-lock brakes, but it's coming to a nice smooth stop. This is a pretty steep hill. It's got one of those signs warning trucks that they can't stop on it. And we're coming to a stop again, nice and smooth. All right, drama free, no noise, no grinding. It's not pulling to either side, it's just going straight. All right, the next test will be the actual highway, so I can go gas up. All right, we're going 60. Let's see what happens. There's no traffic behind us. All right, 25. All right, so brakes work at highway speed. I'm pleased with this. So far, no fuel cutout. All right, so far the brakes have handled everything I've thrown at them. However, the combination of this carburetor, intake, and camshaft do not like trying to accelerate in 5th gear at 1500 RPMs. It really tries to bog hard. We'll go gas this thing up and hopefully we can be done for the day. I guess the new fuel sending unit only works to an extent, because the tank is definitely full. It had 2.5 gallons in it. I put 12.5 gallons in it. It's definitely full, but that's as high up as the gauge goes. So we'll see how this goes long term. It is a very used fuel sending unit. Hope for the best. Test drive was successful, and while I was out, I made an appointment to get the car aligned next week. But it was weird. While I was out of the car for 5 minutes talking to the people, it started running really warm. Not overheating quite, but it ran over the L in normal and was approaching overheating. Not sure why. I left it idling because it always idles just fine. The only thing I could figure is that I had leaned out the carburetor yesterday thinking maybe I was running it too fat, and I think I leaned it out a little too much, because all I did was come home, fatten the carburetor back up, made it a little richer, and suddenly it's running great. It cooled itself down instantly. It's running normal again. So I am not a carburetor professional. In fact, I'm a rookie. I'm a student. This is my first carbureted car, and I'm learning every day. So, all right, test drive was really good. So good, in fact, I'm going to go pick up the kids again. And hopefully we don't get stranded on the way home again. It has been running for about an hour. I've been idling for about 15 minutes now out in the baking sun, and the temperature's right in the middle, right at normal. So everything's behaving completely normal. All I did was fatten up the carburetor, so I guess that's what it was. I had it leaned out too much. I didn't hear detonation, but I'm assuming it was detonating.